Hi there, good day. My name is John Vincent Saracanla. Welcome to my channel. This channel is about research and research statistics. So get your paper and pen ready because today our topic is about writing your chapter 1. So as I have said before in the previous videos, you have to ground your topic to your beliefs. Whatever your beliefs are, that is where you base your title. For me, my belief is I believe that there should be a management model for a project to be effectively delivered and sustained. Thus, my title would be Total Quality Zero Waste Management System. The project is Zero Waste Management System, and the management model or the principle I'll use in order for zero waste management system is total quality management. I believe that total quality management will facilitate the effective delivery of zero waste management. So we'll be writing our chapter 1. Our background, the first is background and rationality of the study. This may vary institutionally. So some would say introduction, others say rationality, but doesn't matter. So the first 2 paragraphs is you will write, my suggestion is you write the current situation. What is going on? So you write the current situation, probably a 1 or 2 paragraph, and it's better if you cite it. If you give a citation, not just your personal opinion, but a valid or reliable literature or dependable literature that states the current situation. It could be a memo, a press conference, or press review, or something that's not just your opinion, or that does not describe the current situation, but a reliable source that also have this feeling, or that has that sense of you. So that's one. So I wrote here in an online article in strict implementation of waste segregation, I cited change.org at 2016-19, and it talks about the current situation in the country. And also I localized it, best to localize it. Poor solid waste management in the Philippines is still prevalent despite government efforts. Next is another paragraph or 2 about describe the current practices. What are they doing? What are people doing? So this what the people are doing is that the concept of poor solid waste management is raised in a national wide practice, and this can be elucidated in this scenario. As I've said, you better to write it citing someone else, having your same perception, and elucidate it with your perspective, or what the things that you have observed in terms of current practices locally. And the last paragraphs, another 1 to 2 paragraph, is the potential contribution of your research. Probably you can give like a very short info about your research or your study and how it affects the other variable. Potential, that's potential. You just believe that it will relate or it will help. In terms of other basic researches that talks about characteristics that affects performances, or the independent affects the influences the dependent variable, try to give a very short connection on how your study relates to the other and how your study improves and how it will change or how it will contribute to the body of knowledge in the academe, or how your innovation will improve, will make substantial contribution. So we have here, next is you have theoretical and conceptual framework. Others break that to theoretical framework and a subtopic of conceptual framework, other merge them. It varies institutionally. So in this case, in my study, I used total quality management principle derived from ISO 9001 2000 standard. So basically, what I'm using is no longer just a theory, but already a principle. So if you've known some companies who are ISO accredited, in order for them to be accredited, the principles, which I'll be stating in later, are present in that company or in that institution for them to be accredited for ISO standards. So basically, I'm not just using a principle. It cascades from belief to theory to principle. So I'm using something higher. But still, you can still use theories. So for my theoretical framework and conceptual framework, I'll discuss the theories and the principles. However, I did not elaborate on them one by one. So you have to discuss each. The theories, you have to discuss the theories. Also, you have to discuss the concepts about the theory. Aside from that, you should also discuss in the conceptual framework all variables that are present in your study, both independent and dependent. Sometimes there are basic researches that you will use gender, age. What you can do is not to discuss them separately, but in connection. For example, age, don't discuss age as a concept alone, because we know what age means. Discuss age as a concept related to your dependent variable, which is your probably performance. Or gender, don't discuss gender alone as a concept, discuss it in relation to your dependent variable. So for me, as a information analyst, what you call statistician, the very important part for me in a research when I look at number one is the schematic diagram and the statement of the problem. The entire paper is grounded on this. If you get this wrong, you get all of the paper wrong. So this is very critical. So let's now discuss the schematic diagram and how is it different from the theory. A schematic diagram is different from a theory, which from sometimes you'll give also a diagram of the theory, because the theory is embedded in the schematic diagram. The schematic diagram shows the relationship between independent and dependent variable. It does not show how the theory flows. It simply shows the relationship between independent and dependent variable. Sometimes there will be figure 2, which will simplify the theory into a diagram, which is a theoretical framework of the study. And I hope we have that clear. So in our independent and dependent variables, we have this: the evaluation of the respondents towards a project manager application and use of 8 total quality management principles. So the independent is this: the use of the total quality management principles. And our dependent is the evaluation of the respondents on the project in terms of project communication, simplicity and efficiency of operation, sustainability, effectiveness to zero waste. This is critical, and most researchers I have seen where I sat on usually tends to get this wrong, simply because it requires a certain degree of critical thinking skills. You need to understand what is causing or what is influencing, what is dependent on something. So you have to have that critical thinking skills to know, to infer what is causing or what is influencing. Going back to my title, I believed that a principle should be used in order for a project to be delivered effectively and efficiently. So the delivery, which is the evaluation on the respondents of the project, is dependent on how the project manager use these 8 principles, in a sense that if the project manager misuses or did not use the 8 total quality management principles, it has bearing on the project itself in terms of communication, simplicity and efficiency of operation, sustainability and effectiveness. In other basic researches, the dependent variable is usually in a form of performances. So age, independent, affects dependent performance. In innovations, it usually about dependent is your efficiency, acceptability, and effectiveness. That's your dependent. To your independent, which may include materials that are used, the variations of the materials that are used. Can even use control and experimental. The control will have different effects from the experimental group. The experimental and control group will have different performances, so you can use those ones. And yeah, so statement of the problem. Number 1, what is the independent? This is very important to set first what is being studied, how is it evaluated, and the statistical tools used are mean, standard deviation, frequency, and percentage distribution. You don't have to write this in your statement of the problem. So basically, your statement of problem goal number 1 will go like this. So it's very easy. Just copy the schematic and put the word what is. What is the evaluation? As you can see, it's very simple. So same type problem applies to the dependent variable. Same statistical tools will be used. We have statistical tools: mean, standard deviation, frequency, percentage, and percentage distribution. And it's still very easy. You just copy your schematic and write the word what. What is the evaluation, or what is the level of the evaluation? So problem 1 and 2 are descriptive. They don't have any hypothesis. So the succeeding problems are inferential. It has hypothesis. Another type of problem is test of difference. It tests whether there is a significant difference in the results of the dependent when grouped according to the groups in each variable of the independent. When we talk about test of difference, we will be using t-test and f-tests for this type of question. Whether there is a significance between the results in the dependent and when grouped according to the dependent. So your question would go like this. You just write, is there a significant difference in? Then copy the main in the dependent. Copy the main independent. Evaluation on respondents on project delivery when grouped according to. Then copy the dependent, the evaluation of the respondents on project delivery. Then copy the independent, which is the evaluation of respondent toward the project manager, the application and use of the total quality management principles. What does it test? Basically, it tests the difference. Assuming that the project, a certain group of, let's divide the group in the dependent. Some, let's say 50% of the respondents' evaluation in the delivery, in the use is positive, and 50% is slightly positive. So there is also, we are assuming that there is also this 50% of positive evaluation on the project manager will also have a positive evaluation on the delivery of the project, and same goes the other way. So when we group them, those with positive evaluation of the researcher will also have positive evaluation of the project, and the other group, which has lesser, will also have lesser. The question now is it significant? Is the difference significant? So another type is a test whether there is a significant difference between the observed, expected, and observed results in each variables. The statistical tool used here is chi-square. The question goes, is there a significant difference between the expected and observed results in the evaluation of the respondents on the project delivery, or in the evaluation of the respondents towards project manager in the application and the use of total quality management principle? In the future, I'll be discussing chi-square, but basically when we talk about chi-square, we are not talking about the difference between the groups and their evaluation. We are basically just talking about, we're testing the results. If the observed and expected result, there is a difference between the observed and the expected results. Next, another type of question is correlational. And the question goes, is there a significant relationship between the respondents, between evaluation of respondents toward project manager and in the application of total quality management principles and the evaluation of the respondents on the project delivery? Basically, you're just connecting, you're just testing, is there a significant relationship between this and this? basically you just add, is there a significant relationship, and you copy the independent and copy the dependent variable. What does it test? We want to see relationship. By relationship, it means if the evaluation of the independent increase positively, we want to know if the check if the evaluation in the independent also increase positively. That means there is a positive correlation, both as the increase in the evaluation, there's also an increase in the evaluation of project delivery, as there is an increase in the evaluation of the project manager in terms of the use of the principles. There's also an increase in the evaluation on the delivery of the project. So another type of question is correlational. This is like very similar to correlation. Some parts of the formula is embedded. Oh yes, and for this one, correlation, we'll be using person R, and for this we'll be using regression. I forgot the name, but it has a different proponent also. So it's similar in a sense because some parts of the formula in the regression is present in correlation, and when you test correlation, you will all be testing. When you test regression, you will also be testing the correlation. Anyways, what's the difference? The difference is that the question first: is there a significant relationship? Is there a significant linear relationship between the same? The evaluation of respondents towards project managers' use and application of the TQM principles, and the evaluation of respondents on a project delivery. So that's it. So I think I need to stop here and give a short review before jumping to another topic for chapter 1. I'll just title it chapter 1 part 2. So basically, let's just go back. When you create your topic, always ground it with your belief, and from your belief you state your title. You don't have to be so certain about your title. It can change over time. So, and in the first paragraph or your introduction or background of the study, describe the current situation, 1 or 2 paragraphs. And the next paragraphs, describe the current practices. On the third paragraph, write the potential contribution. Then you have your theoretical framework, the theory that you will use in the study. Also discussing each concepts in the schematic diagram. You have to discuss each. As I've said there, discuss each. Then your schematic diagram. It's different from your theory because the theory is embedded in the schematic diagram. The schematic diagram shows the relationship between the independent and dependent. Sometimes your theory can be in the dependent or independent. It doesn't matter as long as it's there and it is used. And sometimes there are other theories also who use IPO, and it talks about the input, process, output. And then we have statement of the problem. So as I've said, you just put add what is, then copy your independent variable. For number 2, what is, copy the dependent variable. Then for number 3, copy, write, is there a significant difference? Then copy the dependent variable and write, when grouped according to copy the independent variable. There are a lot of tests here. This one, number 1 and 2 is basic and is necessary, so it has to be there. However, for 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, and 6, you can just choose which do you think will really help prove your belief. So that's number 3. So as I've said, problem 1 and 2 are descriptive and it is basic. You have to have it. Number 3, 4, test of difference, correlation, test of difference, t-test, f-test, and chi-square, and correlation, person R, and regression. You can choose from them. You don't have to include all 6. So, is there a significant difference? Then copy the dependent when grouped according to independent. Then for a test of correlation, for a test of chi-square, you just copy state. Copy this one. Write this one. Is there a significant difference between the expected and observed results in? Then write the independent variable, then write the dependent variable. For correlational researches, right, such as correlation, it will test person R's. You just write, is there a significant relationship between, write the dependent, then copy the independent, and write the word and copy the dependent. And for regression, you have to write the word, is there a significant linear relationship, sorry, I retype, between, copy the independent, then copy the independent, write the word and use and copy the dependent. So these are very critical in writing your paper. So I hope you learned something. I hope you can start writing your paper. Initially, write your paper, just start. So try to maximize your time during this pandemic season to do something productive other than planting and other stuff. Okay, so thank you, and don't forget to like and subscribe in this channel. Have a great day.